All this is Dr. Mobeen Sayed from drbeen.com. Couple of news. Number one, tomorrow we'll do a Zoom call. I will put the Zoom link on YouTube as a post. So if you go to my YouTube channel and go to the community tab, over there you can see posts, and I would post it over there. Secondly, I'll post it on Discord, and I would also post it on Patreon. So tomorrow we'll do a Zoom call. I think my limit is 100 Zoom attendees. Maybe I should increase that limit, but usually there are 100 who come and go, and 70, 80 are present at one time. So that is one news. Secondly, Margaret had her second, and this is with her permission. I would never disclose and share. With her permission, Margaret had her second Pfizer shot today. They observed her after the shot for half an hour. She was fine. She said afterwards she felt some dry throat, some itchiness, but her family observed her for a few more hours and she was fine. So we had a long discussion as well. And she said, I'm a little tired. So I thought that that would happen for a few more days. But Margaret is well. Her fawn, I believe, is arriving tomorrow. Then then the next part of her work is to figure out how to, restore the old fawn or do the storage, and then she would start joining us. So that I'm thrilled about. There is one more uh, interesting thing. So there was a email thread that was started a few days ago by Dr. Pierre Corey. In that thread, there are lots of very famous and popular doctors. I am a tiny fish in there, but there are big names in there. And they were talking about the heat and the pushback and the Rome Declaration and so on. And some folks were saying that there are lots of. So there is a website. I believe Dr. Malone shared a website where the people who are operating the website, they have asked people to tell them who they, for example, if I think that Mubin is doing something wrong, I can go and put Mubin's name there, and then they would reach out to the state medical boards and wherever else to kind of make it difficult for Mubin and kind of not allow them to provide medical, as they say, disinformation. So they shared that to say this is the kind of things that are happening. And I shared with them something confidentially. So I'm going to share it with you as well, but I'm going to water down. I gave them a little more data. So I said, what has happened to me? So now I consider myself to much more balanced in approaching various topics, because I believe that vaccines, just like any drug, if I pick up the pharmacology books from here, any drug written in there will be written in the structure to say, here are the benefits of the drug, here are the dosage of the drug, and here are the side effects of the drug. Here are the toxicities of the drug. And here is what you do if you have the side effects or toxicities. This is a normal structure for drugs. That happens with the other management as well. So that should happen with vaccines too. That here is a vaccine, this is the dose of the vaccine, this is the schedule of the vaccine, here are the possible side effects, and here are the benefits. And if the side effects occur, you do the following. That's what I have been discussing. Similarly, if there are other therapies as well that are important to help with the COVID management, steroids are used for a management, blood thinners are used. There are other drugs as well, like ivermectin or hydroxy or other, that should be given a chance if there are studies that are showing that they are useful. But I think I have been very balanced in talking about vaccines, their benefits, their negatives, and how do we try to get ahead of them. Remember, I have been saying that we need to understand why the clotting is occurring so we can manage it. Or we need to say that women don't take this vaccine under this age and so on. And you saw that Europe actually did that. So the point is, I considered myself to be more medical approached compared to biased towards vaccines or not vaccines. Even then, this is what's happening. So I said to them, I said, look, I got audited on a complaint for one of the COVID dogs, I believe, last year. And that audit continued for 5-6 months. During that time, I was not allowed to add more content on the accreditation. So, kind of a big impact for my business for 6 months. Then, last year, I was reported to YouTube, and 54 videos were demonetized in one day. Most of the time, the YouTube manual review occur when the people report it. It's not that automatic. This last week, when I got a strike, it was a strike on a video that was uploaded in February, and it was approved by YouTube, and it has been on the site since then. And now, when I got this message that we have done a manual review, and we think that this is a violation of the community standards, we're going to remove it, plus we're going to give you a permanent strike. That was on somebody complaining about it, and that triggers a manual review. So I said, that is what happened. Then I have been reported to various administrations as well. And it's not just somebody said to YouTube, Mubin is doing bad. Now I need to have lawyers, and I'm talking with the lawyers and talking with the agencies and saying, hey, I'm not doing anything incorrect. Then, just yesterday, one more audit was started, one more complaint. And so what is happening is, so I shared it with the team, and I said, keep it confidential. I gave them much more data. The basic outcome of this is I am harassed. The business is impacted by complaints. The YouTube channel is impacted by complaints. And I am continuously being, put under stress. Good news is that I continue to march on. I just don't give up and say, fine, I'm going to go away. And it was interesting that I got some very cute comments. So one of the comment, double down, sir. You are a king among them and us. Double down and push harder. We are hurting them, pounding at the cracks and crevices. Don't be fooled. We are breaking them. We got to step up and stand by you. Hugs, hugs, huge hugs. Then another very, very dear friend, doctor, said, this war against us, against truth, is merciless. They have countless tentacles, media, law, politicians, and they're trying everything to stop us. Let's keep going. Warm embraces. Then another very, very dear doctor said, oh my God, this is a blatant war against the truth. They must never win, ever. And then it says, as an icon of human rights in this country was quoted, if you see an injustice, you can't just stand by. One has a moral imperative to do something. Interesting for me is this. The ones who are complaining also feel that they're seeing something wrong and they are going to do something about it. Anyways, I thought this would be an interesting additional update that there are. I think, anyways, so that is that. Now tell me, how are things on your end? And Gregory says it takes courage to tell the truth. Actually, it takes, what I have found out, I have never been under this kind of a pressure for teaching. That I have found out, it is courage at multiple levels. For example, courage to tell, here is what the things are, and put your professional repute at stake. Courage to see that your livelihood can be impacted. Courage to see that your loved ones can become stressed out with you. Courage to see that you may not be able to offer the voice that you thought was important. The importance of the voice was, if you start 18 months ago, was how do we protect ourselves? How do we figure out that how do we march on with success during this very, very hard time? So courage, I understood the definition of courage, that it is at multiple levels. And I said to the team there, I said, it's not finished. It is still continuing. It is not that people who are chipping away or hammering away have gone home now. They are continuing. The newer complaints almost every day. Last week on YouTube, yesterday on my business, before that with the other agencies. These are new things. They're not old. So the intensity continues to increase. And I think this would just continue to increase as well. So we'll see where do we end up. But at least this is what we are seeing. You must say I'm about to cry, Drbeen. I'm glad they said. Thank you very much. What I have learned is, just like with the courage, support also has a very interesting outcome for all of us. I read a study in which what they did was, the study was done for premature babies. And they found out, this is a very recent study, a few years ago, they found out that those premature babies who are kept isolated in the incubators, they have a more chance of dying, or their incidence of death is more, risk of death is more. If they put the babies together, where babies are able to touch each other, just that ability for premature babies to just be able to touch each other has increased their survivability. They survive better just by the touch. So the support and this care and the feeling that somebody cares and the feeling that somebody supports you, even if you can use that support or not, that in itself is protective for humans. I think it is protective for all life. And I think this is one of the underlying benefit of these talks for 18 months, that there was an underlying seed of understanding that these talks are useful, these are protective, these are caring talks. And that in itself had a psychological benefit, in addition to any possibility of looking at researches and what researchers are finding and what medicines can be good and what supplements can be good. So in addition to the knowledge, I think that there was an underlying, this is a caring place, that had its own benefit. It had a benefit for me as well. So when I speak with you and I look at your comments and I read them and they warm my heart, that is a positive outcome for me too. Brandon says, I used to sleep the best when my cat was with me. Absolutely. These things, we are humans. These are part of our, and actually, I shouldn't say just humans, animals, living things have this composition of them, that they need care and they need love and they need, support, care, attachments. Love Bean says, virtual touch, poke, yes. Sarsam says, late to the party, only found Dr. Bean about a month ago. Welcome. This party has been going on for 18 months. Group hug, yes, absolutely, DDS. Building Maker says, monthly subscription on Patreon give Dr. Mubin confidence in income stream to continue. Please consider. Thank you very much for considering this. And I have never tried to say it this way that it's necessary. But even if you can have $5 per month, it actually is useful. But as I have always maintained, it's not necessary. You're welcome here. Without that, when I started it, that was never my purpose. And so this information sharing, as long as we can, we'll continue to do it. I felt bad and sad that I had to take away some of the videos from YouTube and leave them only on Odysee, but we'll continue. Dan says, Dr. McCullough was certain too, the more successful you become, the more incentive there is to stop. So you're interrupting Big Pharma. I think so. I used to feel that my voice is just small and nobody would really care other than this tribe that is here. But it looks like the echo of this voice is quite prevalent. And then there are people who see that and they say, I'm going to silence him. And some would just come in here and write a negative comment and a nasty gram and go. But there are some who are more sophisticated in deciding how they would silence me. And I'm sure that the others are getting this kind of outcome as well. Okay, so I'm going to switch the topics. Frankentronics says, should we worry about catching SARS-CoV-2 at the same time as the flu? So there is no study that talks about both of them together and what is the outcome, but I would suspect that it will not be great to have flu, which already is quite a dangerous thing in certain ages and populations or comorbidities, and then top that off with COVID-19. That can be a bad outcome. So my request is that as the winter starts rolling around, just be more careful. Have whatever makes you feel careful, please do it. For me, masks are important, vaccination is important, prophylactic drugs are important, better supplements are important, less stressful life is important, being happy in whichever way you can is important, being near plants and the forest bathing, which relaxes and improves your natural killer cells. These are all important things. Doing light exercises like yoga. And I have to admit here, I say it, for example, go out for a walk, but I admit that for a few months, I have not gone out for a walk. I have not even done my yoga exercises. I think I got so distracted by all this bombardment that some of these habits went away. So it is hypocritical for me that I am not doing it and then say you should do it. But at least from the study's point of view, this is what has been seen to be useful and valuable. I also wanted to share, look at the cards I get. Card, more cards. She sends me every month. And these cards almost have poetry on them. There is just so much beautiful words here. I love the cat in this one. More and more. So thank you to everyone for all the care and love. Okay, let's continue to. Lizzie says it's odd that despite the vax rate going up, they are still increasing the censorship, since when questioning science and asking questions was forbidden. This is an interesting point. My thinking is this, and this is just my thinking. I may be wrong. My thinking is that since, at least in the US, one, we are not doing well in the US. Second, when we are not doing well, the general perception in the leaderships, medical, political, has been made to be it is because people are not getting vaccinated. So that is where I think the newer approach for some people has become, anyone who does not talk about vaccine, any other voice, for whatever reason it is, that needs to be silenced. So I think that is the thing that you're seeing. It's not really just this censorship, it is more of a filtering the information to say this information is causing people not to have vaccines. And I have said it many times and I'll say it once more. If the healthcare leadership did steps like providing information about how do you keep your immune system healthy, there is nothing, this is medicine. How do you keep your immune system healthy? How do you keep yourself healthy is medicine. If they provided that, if they provided how do you, what should be your better lifestyle, other than saying just masks are important, I believe in them, but that is not sufficient. Light exercises, going out near plants, um, staying relaxed, music, whatever makes you happy, if that was promoted, if people were said that, hey, if you are in an area where there is less sunlight or the sun's angles are not correct, or it is so cold that you keep wearing a lot of clothes, then your vitamin D may not be right. So make sure that it is correct. Here are possible other possibilities for help. We do not know how well they are, we do not know how good they are, but if there is any benefit, let's do that as well. And let's do all of this till you reach the point of doing a vaccine. I think more people would just take vaccine in this confidence that they are carrying. So this is not the best approach to silence everyone else. I thought a lot about this today, that what is the way to have medical discussions. So nowadays, what is that way? It is going to be on some social platform. May that be Discord, or may that be YouTube, or may that be Twitter or Clubhouse or some other way. There is going to be some technology underneath that is going to enable it. And if technology people, whoever owns that underneath technology, is going to decide what kind of discourse I'm going to allow, then we have a problem. If technology itself would decide who would I allow, for example, some platforms were just taken down, the platforms were taken down because their discourse was not interesting, then what is the platform for a discourse? Where do people talk? And all the past progress is because people talk and discuss and dispute and disagree and become upset and say you are wrong and somebody else says you're wrong, and then the truth starts coming out. Where would that happen? If you think about medicine starting, isn't this true that medicine, when it would have started, it was people saying, hey, I know this plant and this leaf, and if you chew this leaf, it relieves your pain, or if you take this bark and you crush it and you eat it, it does this. That is how medicine started. And then it continues to become taken up, adapted, researched. Can we say today that medicine is just finished? We are done. We know all the medicine to know. There is no further research to be done. There is no further exploration to be done. There is no further discussion to be done. We're done. Medicine is done. If that is the case, we are in a bad state. So, where should the medical discourse be done without the platforms or technologies or the regulations interfering with it? So think about it for a second. Forget about liberals versus conservatives, or Republicans or Democrats, or one religion, other religion, one color, other color. Where would the dialogue occur? When I was studying in Pakistan, we used to have a coffee place near our King Edward Medical College. And some of us would go there and sit down in that cafe and talk, and someone would say, well, this concept, medical concept, is this way, and the other one would say, no, I don't think it is this way, it is this way. And some of us will become heated and there'll be a debate there, and some of us would say, yes, it is correct or not correct. There was dialogue. That dialogue, especially in the pandemic when people cannot meet with each other, where would that dialogue happen? Nowhere? So Carrie says, Dr. We need to talk to Sadhguru. No, I really feel that at this time, one, people are in lockdown. They can't go and sit down and talk with each other. Let's say Starbucks was the modern cafes. We can't go and do that openly. So where do people talk? Even emails, even private messages are censored. So Marianne says Odysee is another platform. Yes, so I am on Odysee. Here is a good news. Let me share it. Odysee. And Odysee has actually been very kind that their team has written a script that every day, every video, one, they moved all the previous videos from the YouTube channel, plus every day, every video that is done, every talk that is done within half an hour, it is pulled over to Odysee as well. So all of this is here on Odysee. The thumbnails are, they just pull it when the thumbnail is still not updated. I need to go in and fix these thumbnails, but everything is there. And I am learning how to do the live here. So that is why I'm learning the Open Broadcast Studio. For a couple of days now, I'm working with it. I'm getting the hang of it. And then the next step is to connect with their live system and then go live. So, Marianne, thank you very much. Okay. Imad Ahmed says steroids for long haulers. Is the 9-day dose a one-off or monthly? So again, I cannot offer a personal advice or advice at all for medicine for anyone. In the I Recover protocol, the discussions and the observations that doctors like me and others who have done wherever we practiced, I don't practice in the US, I practice in Pakistan. So wherever we practice, what we have seen is that tapering dose of steroids is very useful. So of course, talk with your doctor. Taking steroids in general is not the best thing. So please be very, very careful. Skyfrog says, I have Odysee open now. I use the dark mode. Is there a dark mode? I go here, settings. Oh, there, dark. Can I do dark on it? There. Thank you very much. Here we are, dark mode. Okay, so that's very interesting. There is a comment here from Holy. Rumble is good to live stream on and has chat with gift dollar button too. Thank you very much. I think Rumble is good too. Jennifer says, I was surprised Dr. Bean has heard of Mercola. So everybody I've heard of them. So it's not necessary that I agree with everybody's point of view. There are many of the folks who are not accurate on mechanisms. And I think those who have been here for a long time, they know how much I love mechanisms. And because of, I have just this weird propensity to go and understand the foundations of something and mechanism of this. Because of that, I sometimes have a deeper look at the mechanism and I can see where somebody may not be entirely accurate. That doesn't mean I know all of this. I read about it daily, but it's not necessary that I agree with everyone. Jennifer says FSCC uses Zoom, then uploads to Odysee. That's a good idea. Fluffy Bean is here. Sir, we are with you. Thank you. Yeah. I am so sorry that for a couple of days, I'm actually, instead of answering your questions, I'm just doing this chit chat, but this is useful as well. So in 18 months, let's say a couple of days, I took from you and we would get back to our questions. So they have decided that Fauci is the ultimate purveyor of truth. He lives in a bubble of vaccine and genetics. Fauci is the science, right? He himself called himself as I am the science. And if you disagree with me, you disagree. If you deny me, you deny science. Something like that. That was weird. Artie says, food, you more bitter, more better. Thank you. Boot, Rockefeller medical tyranny. And I actually am under no impression or interpretation that somehow I would stay safe. I know that doctor, I always forget his name, and then Cool Beans write his name in the comments. The doctor who said for the first time that wash your hands, and he said, we are killing women and their baby because we don't wash our hands after autopsies. And that doctor was first ridiculed, made fun of, then put in a mental institute where he died. They almost imprisoned him. They threw him in a mental hospital to say he's a crackpot. And the poor man died there because he had said that wash your hands. So I'm under no misunderstanding that somehow it would pan out to be fine for me. It is going negative, and I hope that it will be okay. But I understand. Dr. Lister, was it Lister? Here, Dr. Semmelweis. Yeah, his story is interesting. So CKCY says, Dr. Bean, have you seen any toxicity at all with ivermectin? And please share your opinion about ivermectin reducing male fertility. Thank you. So I have done these discussions before. At least in the patients that I had been managing, I have never seen ivermectin toxicity. The only one or twice in older age, I heard that they felt dizzy or they became sleepy. So in such cases, I tell them that reduce the dose or reduce the frequency. So that is just my experience. The male fertility, one, COVID-19 itself causes a big problem. And secondly, for ivermectin, I shared one study. I remember when I shared that study, I got really beaten up at that time for sharing ivermectin's effect. There was a study in albino rats where they said that administering ivermectin reduced the sperm count and quality of the sperms. Although they said when you add vitamin E, which is an antioxidant, so they said that ivermectin possibly causes inflammation in some animals, and to help with that, just co-administer vitamin E with it. That was a study. I actually discussed it as well. It has never been done in humans. Frank says, one question I have is, do you think it is really comorbidities, or is it the medication's effect on the immune system opening the door for COVID? Which medication? Any medication? So we can say it this way, that there can be medicines that can reduce a person's immune response. For example, somebody taking, let's say, immunosuppressants, and they're suppressing the immune system, not modulating it downwards. People with the autoimmune diseases, they normally try to modulate them towards normal. But there are folks, for example, organ transplant patients, where there is an actual suppression of the immune system, and that can create a comorbidity which is caused by a drug. So at the end of the day, the basic comorbidity in majority of the at-risk patients are because of immune system's abnormality or dysregulation. But there can be, for example, hypertension itself is not a risk, but in many patients with hypertension, there is a coexisting cardiac failure over time. And when somebody is in cardiac failure, and they get COVID, one, COVID can impact the heart by directly attacking it. And secondly, when COVID puts stress on the body, and the heart needs to now work to compensate with the blood flows and blood pressures, and if heart cannot do it, then that can become a risk for life. So there are mixtures of reasons for each comorbidity. There is no one general mechanism. That's a good question. So Soma and Sejoy Ghosh, and I am a little late in my call, says if a vaccinated person gets breakthrough infection, will antibodies generated for all parts of the virus in amounts for him? So yes, so when a person gets an infection, our immune system will try to produce as many antibodies as it can while trying to take away the virus. Now, it is possible that as soon as the virus is removed, let's say in 2 days, the immune system doesn't have an exposure for more than 2 days to keep looking at various parts of the virus. So, whatever antibodies are produced, there are still a lot of antibody types produced to various parts of the virus. So, you are correct. So M. Gregory is a why do they act like national immunity is a new concept? I think, at least if I think about it, all of these, um, what is to kind of say that all of these things do not matter, is there is an underlying feeling that all of these mechanisms are causing people to say, I don't want to be vaccinated, I'm fine. And so we have to say this is not this way. By we, it's not me. We have to say this is not this way so that people can then go get the vaccine. I feel that when they're pressing for vaccine, in a way they're trying to help. They feel that their only way to help is to vaccinate, and that's how they're trying to silence everything else. I just think that doctors, doctors in medical profession who are at the administrative seats as well, leadership seats as well, they should continue to look at the studies and what these studies are saying. For example, I really thought for last 1 week, as I'm getting more and more punished and hit, I was thinking to take ivermectin studies one by one and compare them to the approved or authorized things by, let's say, FDA, for example, remdesivir or bamlanivimab or other such drugs, and just compare them for what is the size of the study, what were the results of the study, what were the cohort sizes, and here is a ivermectin study, for example, and here is the cohort sizes. I think it is useful to look at these studies as well that are happening other than just the vaccines. But I don't think that they are thinking that way. And unfortunately, US has actually surpassed the number of deaths that occurred with the flu virus in 1918. So I'll complete my thought then. Um, Marianne Razano says, that's a great idea to compare studies. Yes, please. So do you know what my thought was? Where will I compare it? So I think one solution is to compare them on while presenting on Odysee only. The risk still is that anybody who listens to my talk over there would still be able to go and start complaining. So do you see how they are impacting people's voices? I never had to think this way, and I was just very much busy in looking at studies, presenting them, discussing them. And now I have to save myself as well and while talking about them. So the complete thought that I thought it will be really interesting to show the comparison. Forget about ivermectin study being strong or not, or being big enough or not. Why not compare it to those that have been approved and compare, for example, bamlanivimab, 420 total people, 3 drug dose levels, and then fourth placebo. Isn't that small? That was actually a phase 2 trial which got it approved. Why? Again, that doesn't mean bamlanivimab itself is bad. It is good. Good that we have that choice. Why don't you agree and understand that there are more choices too? Robin says, question, most of the comorbidities seem to be illness driven by insulin resistance. So why isn't there a discussion of eating less carbs and lowering blood sugar and fasting insulin levels? That is actually very important. It's not necessary that everybody's comorbidity is by diabetes, but I have always said that uncontrolled diabetes is very dangerous. Diabetes should stay controlled, especially nowadays. It should always be controlled because the long term effects are really bad. It should be controlled. So I've heard non-classical monocytes containing S1 called immortal, but they would be cleared eventually. So this is Dr. Bruce Patterson's discussion talk. We have discussed that as well. Yes, so they are cleared out very slowly. In some people, it can continue for years or more than a year, for example, not years, we don't have enough time passed. In some people, months. And then there are medicines that can help with that as well. Sherry Anand says, you're a rock star and Luffy too. Absolutely. Luffy is actually a bigger rock star. So ZEYNSOLO has a question. What is Luffy's favorite food? I used to have a cat that liked stir-fried vegetables, especially fresh beans. That is so funny. So are you threatening that your cat liked beans and now we are in trouble? So Zan, Luffy has two type of foods. In the morning or during the day as well, he gets wet food, which is mostly fish and or chicken. Then they have those dry food as well. So those dispensers are sitting here and they can just go there and eat anytime. So he eats that too. Plus there is a tiny plate with his dry food, wet food in it, which sits here in the kitchen all day as well. So he decides whichever one he likes more. But he likes treats as well, and this is three things he does. So Mike Breller has a good question. Are the boosters tweaked for Delta or just more of the same? I think that they're not tweaked for Delta, they're just more of the same. Miss Mensa says, what did you just say about diabetes? What I said about diabetes is diabetes should be controlled. Uncontrolled diabetes is very dangerous because immune system is suppressed. Controlled diabetes, that means we are not hurting ourselves and we are providing them enough nourishment, should be a person be as normal as they can be. So diabetes or blood glucose levels should be very, very correctly controlled nowadays. That's what I say. Grace says, Dr. do you know that this has been one of my favorite chit chats? Your calm, kind way accentuated with tenacity and determined is so touching and inspiring. Thank you very much. Billy Clone says, screw the cat. Cat is good. Uh, Lilu says, I heard pharmaceutical companies can own your DNA once they put changes inside you. Is this true? They own the one? No, they don't. How will they own the DNA? No, that's not going to happen. Our body and our immune system is very sophisticated. It's not something that would just fall over. So MSNBC says, do you know the details of ivermectin study by NIH? Hope it is designed better than the ongoing Cambridge one. Let's see. I haven't seen their protocols. If I go here and I say NIH ivermectin study, should be on the clinical trial. So this is a news article. So the request was strange. Customers flocking. Local television interview. Warned high doses. Coronavirus likely new. Where is the link to the study? So it is planning a randomized clinical trial to explore um, in an acceleration. I'll have to find the study itself to see what is their protocol. Denise, I'm sorry your expertise is being targeted by forces with unkind agendas. Please speak with the other doctors in the same city. Don't do this on your own. Yeah, I'll I will. I'm continuing to discuss with as many as I can. So Michelle says, have you heard of the studies on amantadine for COVID? What are your thoughts? Let me look at those studies and update us later on as well. How about we? So I'm getting a little anxious for my call. So Gary says, let's take this as the last question. Drbeen, why am I missing so many? Why am I seeing so many waxed patients with elevated D-dimer blood test? Do our platelets react to spike protein to make blood clots? Anytime when there is an inflammation, in the area of the inflammation, there is going to be local inflammation causing vasculitis, local vasculitis as well, and that would cause D-dimers and that would cause clotting as well. The question is how much D-dimer? Is it more than just local area? And if it is more, how much more? It is possible that antibodies are being formed all over the body now, and those antibodies are going to start the biological outcomes as well, which means complement fixation, which means phagocytosis, which means immune system activation, which in turn can cause inflammations, which in turn can cause D-dimers and clotting and then D-dimers. And the question is, if you are saying that you're seeing it, have you been able to follow up to see how soon they start going down? Ideally, within a few weeks, these should settle down. John Titer says, where did you learn to draw? So I have a very uh, generic answer that I used to love drawing when I was very young. And if you see in my books here, majority of the books here, if you can see, all of these are for drawing. So for example, art fundamentals, mastering color, mastering composition, drama and light, acrylic painting, drawing on the funny side of a brain, everyone you ever wanted to know about, everything you ever wanted to know about drawing, cartooning, um, humongous book of cartooning. Some of these writers are pretty popular writers. And then the cute stuff, figure drawing, create creating stylized animals. So given the number of books I have, my art is actually worse than that, where it should have been. But because it is not my primary agenda, I just use it to be able to clearly uh, and in a more entertaining way present medical knowledge. But as you can tell, I love cartooning and I love drawing. Okay, cool. So how about we stop here for today. Patizik says Drbeen has some beautiful paintings he has done. You should have a showing, definitely. So Jennifer says, can you update your series on immune system? The style you use now is so much better than the whiteboard. Absolutely. I was actually thinking of redoing the immune system. Maybe that would be a good additional type of lectures, because nowadays we are learning immunology anyways for COVID. Cool. So thank you very much for your time and for being here with me. Thank you for sticking around, many of you for 18 months. Thank you for being here. Thank you for staying safe, happy, healthy, and blessed. I would see you tomorrow. If you like this work, please like, subscribe, and share. This is me switching into the saying bye. So please like, subscribe, and share. And there are links in the description if you would like to support this work. There are links for buying me a coffee, or you can become a patron, or you can use PayPal. So thank you very much, and I'll see you tomorrow. Tomorrow we will not be live on here. We will have a Zoom call. So I'll post the links tomorrow. Thank you, and see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.